everyone, and welcome to Stan the Wine Man TV. I am your host, Stan Rattan, and this is the Blue Collar Wine Show, where I help you spend your wine dollars wisely. This YouTube channel isn't all about education. It is all about reviewing wines. It's kind of a mix of both. Educate a little bit, throw in some reviews of wines. That's what this channel is all about. And I want to thank all those 1,060 plus subscribers who have jumped on board to watch. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. And I hope I can continue this program and really entertain you and help you find great wines at great values. Washington is August is the second Washington wine month. Sorry about that. And it's not a month I always get behind because I think we really only need one Washington wine month, and that is, the original one is in March. And I spent a lot of time in March reviewing Washington wines. However, because Sage Rat Winery is my Winery of the Year for 2024, Dusty Jenkins is a winemaker, I thought I'd throw in a review of his most recent releases. Now, I wrote an article in my blog, and I have to put a link to my blog. I'd like you guys to read that if you can at stanthewineman.com. I'll put a link if I remember to. And I wrote an article about Dusty Jenkins and what he's doing. He's also the winemaker for Gilbert Cellars, and this is a side project that he does. And he makes some really cool wines, and we are going to review 3 of his latest releases. So let's get started right away. This is a 2023 Sage Rat Ramato from Rattlesnake Hills, Washington State. I love Rattlesnake Hills. It's in the Yakima AVA. It's a sub-region in the Yakima AVA. Now, this rolls in at $25. There you go. Now, Ramato is a style they use for Pinot Grigio. They started that in Italy. It requires extra skin contact for the Pinot Grigio. Now, Pinot Grigio is not a purely white wine. Gris means gray, so it has a tint to it, sort of a pinkish gray hue to it. So they like to leave it on the skins, give it a darker color, a richness that you would not normally get from a Pinot Grigio. And so that's what Ramato means. It comes from the word rame, which means copper, so it gives it a copper color. A little different than rosé. The way they make it is a little different than rosé. Depends on how long they allow it on the skins. They don't necessarily bleed off the juice. They ferment it and bottle it the way it comes out. Of course, they separate the juice. They press it, and it has this color to it. Whereas rosé, a lot of times they'll just bleed off the juice and throw away the skins. But in this case, they press the skins, and you get this copper-colored Pinot, in this case, Gris. So it's Pinot Grigio, skin contact, $25. Give the glass a little rinse. Dusty Jenkins is a very adventurous soul. I love the way he gets into different wines. You won't see a lot of people doing Ramato. It's not a very common, great wine style you'll see, although I see more and more of it, but not a lot yet. So there you go, that kind of salmon copper color on the wine. Let's see what we get on the nose. Yeah, it's sort of strawberry. Give me a little plum action. And this all comes from the skin contact. So the longer you leave it on the skins, you know, a lot of Pinot Grigio is just made, they press the juice, no skin contact at all. So you get a white wine, whereas in this case you get a copper-colored, salmon-colored wine. Yeah, almost it reminds me a little bit of maybe a strawberry plum cake. A little perfume action coming off the nose too. Let's get on the palate. Definitely get that plum strawberry thing going on. A little bit of spice action on this one as well, probably from the skin contact. Good texture in the mouth. Right at the finish of this one, yeah, a little rhubarb. Definitely some rhubarb action coming through on the finish. So I'm going to call rhubarb, plum, strawberry notes. Good texture in the mouth, good acidity. Beautiful wine, actually. So different from a Pinot Grigio Gris. You get that kind of nice complexity that you don't get from the Pinot Grigio normally. Really like this wine. I like the rhubarb kind of strawberry plum finish, really lingering on the palate. I'd love to pair this with salmon. Well, it's got enough richness. You could pair it with a pork dish, would be nice. Like pork tenderloin would be beautiful with this one. I definitely would go salmon. It would be a good seafood wine too, because there's a nice fresh acidity to this. Would add some flavors to those clams or mussels that you're having. This is a great wine. I like it a lot. I'm going to go B plus, A minus on that. I think it's a really solid example of Ramato from Washington State, 2023. Excellent wine. B plus, A minus. Let's move on. Now we're going to some weirdness. This is a collaboration between Sonder Winery and Sage Rat. I like Sonder wines. These are both small wineries. We got together, Sonder and Sage Rat, 2023, Carbonic Nebbiolo. And I just, to digress just a minute, the alcohol content on the Ramato is 12%. A lot of people like that, dig that, having less alcohol. This one is 12.7. Carbonic Nebbiolo, Yakima Valley AVA. This rolls in at $26. Carbonic Nebbiolo. Now I chilled this just a little bit, just because it seems to be what you should do with this wine. Just give it a little bit of a chill. Carbonic maceration. What does that mean? Okay, here comes the lesson time. So carbonic maceration gives it a fruitier flavor profile. They use it a lot in Beaujolais. Beaujolais Nouveau usually is carbonic maceration. So they seal whole cluster grapes in a sealed container with carbon dioxide, and it breaks down each grape that ferments with this carbon dioxide, giving it that kind of fruitier, almost sometimes bubblegum flavors. Now, that being said, I'm not always a huge fan of carbonic maceration. Just saying. But sometimes when it's done correctly, without too much of that bubblegum aspect, I really like it. So, Nebbiolo, famous in where? Question of the day. Just asking you. Where is Nebbiolo most famous from? What country? What area? You know the answer. Give it to me in the comments. I know you want to. Please do. It's always fun to get comments, and I try to respond most times. So this is a interesting color. It's kind of a dark pink red meets peach color. I mean, you can see through it, but it's got an interesting color to it. It reminds me a little bit of beets. Let's see what we get on those. So it does have kind of a root vegetable thing going on, kind of like beets and rutabaga. I get a little bit of a plum action going on. Maybe slight strawberry as well. Yeah, let's see what we got on the palate. Very interesting. Carbonic Nebbiolo. The chill is really nice on this. 12.7 alcohol. Nice, like I said, you get that kind of a beet component coming through, but definitely some strawberry, plum notes. Good acidity, a little kind of barely, but it's there, a little bit of rust action. Very interesting flavors on this one. Kind of get that, like I said, that root kind of beet, plum. I get a little cherry as well. There's a little cherry coming through. There's a rust component underneath, which is really cool because Nebbiolo, in my opinion, really shows a rusty characteristic, especially from the country where they make it the most. You know where that is? Tell me in the comments. I got to come up with some swag just for people that comment and get it right. Good light on the palate, not heavy at all, very refreshing, very cool wine. Once again, I would pair this with pork, salmon. You could even do some barbecued chicken with this one, as long as the barbecue sauce isn't too heavy. I would just do roasted chicken as well. This would be really good with roasted chicken. I love that kind of rustiness on the end. I like the cherry, plum, strawberry notes that come through. Really lingers. Well-made wine, by the way. Very well made. Very interesting. This would be for the adventurous soul. Also a little orange citrus coming through. Like this wine a lot. I'm going to go B plus A minus on that one as well. You won't see a lot of carbonic Nebbiolo. What do you compare it to? I'm not comparing it to anything except that this is a very well-made, good acid, good balance, well-structured wine that's nice and light and fruity, but not over-the-top fruity. And I would have trouble telling you that is carbonic maceration. Just saying. Now, very excited about this. I reviewed this when I first came out with a few YouTubes on Sage Rat wines. We'll go back. Maybe I'll put up a couple links to those episodes. But this is a 2022 Sage Rat Scrublands Red. Now, the reason I'm excited about this is because 22, one of the better vintages you'll see in Washington State. And I did an interview with Ashley Trout, and she didn't pull any punches about it. She said 22 is going to pan out to be one of the better vintages in Washington State that she's seen in her career, which is saying a lot. So this is 50% Sangiovese, 50% Cab Franc from Yakima Valley AVA, unfined, unfiltered. This is $26. Cool label. He puts a little Sage Rat there so you can see what it is. Very abstract style label. Darker color on this one. He likes to deal a lot with Italian varietals. Cab Franc they do in Italy as well, as Sangiovese. So very dark, but yeah, I would say kind of a ruby red, no, not kind of reddish to the black. Reddish to the black. Let's see what we get on those. Getting some licorice notes. This is a little higher in alcohol. This is a 13, I believe, 13.5. Big time licorice. Get some currant and cherry notes. Lots of licorice though. I like the licorice notes on this. Yeah, licorice, currants, and cherries. Maybe just a hint of bark, like dried bark. Kind of earthy and perfume. Let's see what we get on the palate. Very spicy on the finish. You know, I like that kind of white pepper, black pepper thing going on. Good cherry notes. Solid fruit, but not over the top. Has nice balanced, well integrated acidity, which gives it that nice balance. The licorice notes come through on the back end with that spice, but I get some definite cherry, a little bit of, yeah, mostly cherry notes coming through. Cherry with underlying currant notes. Currant notes coming through. So you have kind of a cherry, currant, fresh, well-structured red. And I guarantee you that this is quite a bit better than the last vintage I tried, even though I love the last vintage. This is shining. This is incredible. This will age probably easily 5 years. Easily. It has that good structure, good balance, long finish. Licorice comes through on the back end. There's just a hint of rust, and I like to say rust, but just a hint of it, not very much. But it has kind of a rusty tannic thing going on. But the tannins are not heavy, they're lighter, but there is a rusty tannic thing going on. The tannins have that texture to them, which makes it very interesting. Which is really cool when you can get that from the New World. This reminds me a lot of a Chianti style wine. The Cab Franc doesn't really come through. It just surprises me. There's no real vegetal components on this one. No, solid wine, solid wine. So, super stoked to review some new Sage Rat wines. My Winery of the Year for 2024, Dusty Jenkins. Has a great hand when it comes to winemaking. He reminds me a lot of Kyle Welch from Longship Cellars. They both have this really cool talent, and I'm glad they're using it to make wine. It's really cool. I love it. Great wine. I'm going to go B+, A- on that one as well. Super wines from a great Washington winery. Very small, but if you can get your hands on some, I think you'll really enjoy them. Thanks for taking a little time out of your day. I appreciate your support very much. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. You can see what's coming up. You keep watching, and I'll keep helping you spend your wine dollars wisely.